So, how did I go from 108 pounds to 130 pounds within the span of a year and not setting foot in a gym? Now, before we do get started, I just want to put it out there that I'm not massive. I'm not the biggest guy in the room, but I was able to, within the span of a year, increase in strength and in size. I increased my push-ups from doing only 5 to hitting at least 50 push-ups straight. Pull-ups from struggling to do 1 to now putting out 18. Now, for some of you who actually knows me, going to the gym is very recent. So most of my gains were made directly here at home, because my journey started during the quarantine in 2020. And with the right amount of determination and with the right tips and pointers as well, you too can make tremendous gains just as I did. So in this video, I'm going to be covering 5 tips that I have gone through and tested, put it to use, and I'm going to share it with you so you can also go on this journey and become the best you. So with all that said, here are the 5 tips that I used and I'm going to share with you so you can also become the better you. So tip number 1, liquid calories. Now, surprisingly, not that much people know that your calories and your diet is extremely important compared to working out. It's at least 80% of you getting weight on or putting on gains. So you have to be in a caloric surplus, and if you're someone like me, then that means you have a high metabolism, shockingly low appetite, and just overall bad eating habit. This is where liquid calories come in. Being in a caloric surplus is extremely important, but sometimes you can't be hitting the protein intake that you need to hit or the amount of carbs and the fats that you need to hit for the day. But by making certain shakes, it doesn't have to be protein powders. You can use regular products, oats, frozen fruits. You can use stuff around the house and make a high calories smoothie or shake that can help to put on those extra calories that you're going to need, that in the long run plays to you putting on gain. Because once you're in a caloric surplus, you are going to make gains. You just need to be consistent with it and putting it in over time. Now, tip 2, progressive overload. Now, for progressive overload, not everyone is familiar with that phrase, but ideally what it is that you go into the gym, or in our case, you're at home working out. You're aiming to hit a target. So if you're doing this amount of reps, this amount of sets this week, you're expected to increase that, if it's even by 1 rep, the next week. And you continuously do that and go on and go on. That helps to increase your mass, helps to increase your strength. Now, the best way to do this typically is with compound exercises. Deadlift, squats, bench press. But you may be asking, how are you going to do this without the gym? And this is where most people tend to shy away or feel threatened about the whole working out process. The thing is, there are many body weight exercises that you can do that are similar to these compound exercises you would do in the gym. Now, you're not going to get the exact same results, but they do 100% work. For example, push-ups. If you can do a progressive overload with your push, on Monday you're hitting 3 sets of 5. If you complete that, on Wednesday you're going for 3 sets of 8, and you work up. Once you complete doing all 3 sets of 8 smoothly, then you increase again, and it's just a reoccurring cycle. Now, in addition to your progressive overload, just gonna add this in your hair, so keep this in mind. This is very important when you're doing your progressive overload. Unlike at the gym, where you can easily put on a 2.5 pound, a 5 pound weight, 10 pounds, you don't have access to do that here. I used, when I was trying to increase in weight, is I would utilize, where is one? I would utilize the common bag. Just fill this up with books, put it on your back. That's an extra 10 pounds or so for your push-ups. That's push-ups, however. Not every exercise is going to be as easy to implement that. That can work for squats and push-ups. For other stuff, however, time over tension. Time over tension is extremely important. If you cannot be hitting those push-ups, let's say you've increased your push-ups all the way to 3 sets of 12, then you're going to a high enough range, because for hypertrophy, you should be hitting 8 to 12 reps. You don't really need to go any further. The higher you go is the more you're going into endurance training, which is not ideal for muscle growth. So you do time over tension. Do your same reps. When you go down halfway, you hold it for 5 seconds, hurry back up. The more time that you have your muscles under pressure is the more that you're tearing up the muscle fibers and then increasing growth. Okay, now on to tip 3, tracking calories. Now, this one is very important, and I learned that very late in my journey. So I started out just eating meals, eating what was made in the house, and it works. But you may not be hitting the specific goals you need to hit, because it's not just your calories. You're going to need to hit the calories, and you just need to hit 1 to 1.5 of your body weight. So if, let's say you're doing 1, if you weigh 140 pounds, you need to have 140 grams of protein for the day. By tracking your calories using apps such as MyFitnessPal, that's what I recommend, that's what I use. It makes it very simple as well. You scan the meals, the barcodes if you don't want to go through and typing them in, or you can type out the names and it would come through on the search. And it's very user friendly. Anyone can go on and add new items, so the catalogs are refreshed and revised every day to make the experience as easy as possible. On top of that, weighing out your food is also really good. If you can have an idea of how much you're actually taking in, it helps as well for you to then hit in those other tips. So you see how everything's playing along now, where it works with you ensuring you're getting your caloric surplus, the time under tension, ensuring you're hitting your protein intake. Everything plays hand in hand. Now tip 4 would be having a good workout routine. Now there are various different types of routines, workout splits. You have the bro split. Don't ever do the bro split. It's just not ideal. An ideal workout routine is where you're targeting all muscle groups at least 2 times per week. Most people would say for beginners it's best to start off with full body exercises, but to me I think that takes too much time. You're going to be so fatigued at the end. You may not be exerting as much energy as you want into specific exercises, and then you may just slack off on the exercises. So personally, I recommend my go-to workout routine is a PPL, or a push-pull legs. This routine targets all muscle groups 2 times a week. It's a 6-day routine and you have a 1-day rest. For a beginner, you don't have to go extremely hard. Start off with the progressive overload and do that split. So push days, you'd work chest and triceps. Pull days, back and bicep. Legs is legs, but I normally implement shoulders with legs. You don't have to really work shoulders on chest and tricep days because you're already indirectly worked. So that's the reason why. But right, having a good split and having an idea of what you're hitting, when to hit it, then translate into you putting on weight fast and muscle size and muscle strength. And now tip 5, the last and the final tip, and I'd have to say it's the most important tip as well. I've gotten DMs continuously asking the same question, and this all has to do with your view on working out. Now all of these tips are great, but as you can see, it's not going to be easy to work. But you need to have a mindset. Don't look at it as, oh, you're just going to go and work out. Don't look at it as, oh, it's just a little habit or a little hobby. Think of it as an investment into your health and your well-being. Think of it as a benefit to you. Once you have the right mindset, then everything else can correlate perfectly into you putting these tips into play and making those gains. Okay, now those are the 5 tips that I used to get to where I am today, and I'm now sharing this with you guys to go ahead and start your journey. You're never going to know how far you can go without trying. So start your journey today. I'll be doing more of these tips, so you can keep an eye out for that. And if you're interested in this and you're looking to start off, there's a video here that I did previously where I covered exercises that you can do and perform at home that would then give you an idea of where to start.